Thank you, Susan, so much for the opportunity to do this again. It's a fantastic night and event. I want to thank everyone here for taking the time to come on this important event. Thank you, candidates, for taking the time to be here to make your voices heard. Um, Public service. It's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of time with your family, finances, and the fact that these candidates showed up tonight proves and is evidence that they need care, that they have a heart committed to the betterment of this community, to the betterment of our school system. And we're here to learn more about their vision. Where do they want to see the school in years to come? And that's why we're here tonight. My role as moderator, I'm going to do a Homer Simpson and kind of do a vanishing act into this podium here because the spotlight needs tonight. That's who you came here to hear more about. So, without further ado, if you wouldn't mind passing this down, let's go ahead and start the introductions. Reminder: 1 minute each. Thank you.
My name is Laura Libretto, and I'm running for school board for District 1. And I want to tell you a little bit about my family's journey to Clay County, starting with my father. Was transferred here in the military to NAS Jacks, and thankfully they decided to enroll me and my 4 siblings into Clay County schools. It was the best decision they ever made, because not only did I meet my husband of 33 years, I was able to raise my 4 sons here, and they all graduated from Clay County schools. I myself have been an educator in this county for 27 years after graduating from the University of North Florida. And then later, I received my master's degree in educational leadership in College of Education. I believe in public education. I believe students deserve academic excellence. We deserve strong, safe schools and transparency and accountability. Where's our budget going? Every dollar spent at the district office takes away from our schools, our teachers, and our support staff. I appreciate you being here tonight, and I would love to have your support.
Current school board member and current school board chair here for District 1. I am a registered nurse by trade, emergency medicine by specialty. I have attended Clay County schools my whole life. So is my husband, K through 12, Middleburg graduates. I met my high school sweetheart and married him, who is also a Navy veteran. We have 2 beautiful little girls who attend Clay County schools. I have a mother who is on here in Clay County schools, veteran teacher, and multiple family members throughout our district. I promised you 3.5, almost 4 years ago, several things, and I'm going to tell you something. I know this is hard to believe, but I am sitting in front of you, and I am telling you that I have accomplished every single thing that I told you that I would do. Some of those things were moving our CCSO back into our schools, canines, policy reform, no girls and boys bathrooms and boys and girls bathrooms. I delivered every promise.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Rathjen, and I have the privilege of serving as your candidate for Clay County School Board District 4. It's a privilege. It's also a lot of pressure, and I'm very thankful and appreciative of those who served. That's a very important role that we all work together on to lead and serve our community. So my wife and I, Rebecca, she's in the room. We've been married for over 20 years. We have 3 beautiful daughters, and we've lived in Clay County for just over 15 years. And we started our journey with our students. We did homeschool initially, but we moved them into Clay County schools. So just to be very clear about that. And then throughout my professional career, I serve as the vice president of school programs for a major credit union. I lead a very complex program, manage a multi-million-dollar budget, and I work side by side with educators on a daily basis. So it's been an honor to serve our community in a variety of ways. Most recently, I served as the chair of our Clay Education Foundation, along with various other boards that I've served in our community.
Shelley Hanson, I just want to say first off, thank you to everyone. What a blessing that so many Republican candidates. It's not often that that happens and we're blessed for that. My entire life has been in service to others. I was and still am married to my husband of 43 years, 24 years of service. We moved here. I became a teacher. I served my students for 20 years, earned a master's in special education and a certificate of ed leadership. And then after my 20th year, I thought, you know, I've done about everything I can in the classroom. I'd like to do more. For the last 3.5 years, I've worked diligently to empower students, embolden parents, give them the rights that they deserve, and make sure that every single policy we make supports our teachers. I'm Michelle Hanson, District 4.
Being here, my name is Gerald Beasley. I grew up in Clay County, Clay High School, a very long time ago. And about a year later, I left and I was gone for 37 years. 18 of those years, I honorably served in the United States Air Force. I came back at the beginning of 2011. In 2012, I took a job at the Clay County School District. I started off with the electronic shop, that was my experience in the Air Force, and I eventually moved over to the electronic shop. That's where I am now, keeping all the children safe in their classrooms, secure in their classroom. I am on the operations side, which is much different from the administrative and the instructional side. Like I said before, I'm in every building, every room. I've touched every door, every lock, know where everything is. And when you're on the inside like that, you meet all the administrators, you meet a lot of teachers, you meet everybody, you talk to them, you learn about a whole bunch of things that other people.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashley Gilhausen. I'm a fourth generation resident of Gulf Springs, third generation. Blue devil, always a blue devil. My husband and I have been married for 18 years. We met in a Sunday school class as teenagers at and we are still members that are serving today and are raising 3 boys that are 16, 14, and 12. All 3 are in our public schools. Soon to have another lifetime blue devil graduate in a couple of years. In my professional life, I left Clay High and went on to University of Florida and University of North Florida to get my degree in nursing. Served for 5 years in labor and delivery at Fort Medical Center, welcoming all the newest residents of Clay County. And then went on to teach, and finally now I'm the director of programs at Seymour Branch, where we serve children and families in crisis. And now we're going to go into the meat of today's forum, which is answering questions. We have 6 questions here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and highlight the main topics for each of these questions, just so you guys can get an idea of what you'll be asked to discuss. So at a high level, we're going to be discussing, you guys will be discussing safety, academic, budget, parent community engagement, teachers, and bonus academic. Okay. And as a reminder, I'm going to go ahead and pick a name, each of your names is in here. To start us off with the first question, which is going to be involved in safety. And this name will start with that question. Miss Ashley, you'll start on the line. What, you got to ask the question. That count. Wait. All right. Don't give the mic yet. Go for it. Should the schools address bullying, including cyberbullying? You have 1 minute. So there's a lot of state law that governs how we address bullying. It's legally, there's a definition for it, that it must be that threshold before the district can address it as such. And from my perspective, one of the things that makes Clay County schools so different, so unique, and makes Clay County such a great place to live is that as we grow larger, the goal is to grow smaller.
And I think that protecting class size and keeping younger children together and older children together helps us to really allow the teachers and the staff of the school to know the children. Supervision then. And cyberbullying is a specific challenge because it doesn't happen often during school run. And so it's a little bit difficult to apply discipline to something that didn't happen in the school. But one thing that I know this board has worked really hard to do is to limit cell phone usage during the school day. So that's one measure that we've taken to mitigate some of that, and it's been a big difference.
Sure, yeah. Let me know if you're unable to hear me. So, thank you. How should the schools address bullying, including cyberbullying?
Okay. I can speak to what I've seen out there in the schools. I know that some of the schools actually have safe rooms that people, if the children feel that they are being bullied or in any way antagonized, they're allowed to go to these safe rooms. But the biggest thing I've seen is with the SROs, they get involved with it. The child that's being bullied, get notes for that SRO's office is if they can go to the SRO and they will, as a matter of fact, I have seen it. Listen to a young girl talk to a teacher about a boy bullying her and harassing her during class change. So I personally went to the SRO. This is what I heard. This is what, she said. Can you do something about it? Other than that, if these schools are getting so big, so many students, like they said, it's hard to catch that. They can always go back and look on the camera, but they're not looking at it when it happens. So it is a problem.
So for me, I also have the teaching perspective of 20 years, and I can tell you, there's two things that need to happen. High expectations and a universal policy that brings every student towards that high expectation. Bullying is something that can be very, very severe. Fortunately, we have a Clay County Sheriff officer at every school. I know they have discussions with kids, but here's the thing, from school to school, it's very different. We need a universal policy, and that policy would be able to tell students what bullying is, and parents what we need to do about it, and students what they need to do about it. On top of that, we have recently divided our student code of conduct into elementary and secondary. And I have been working with Mr. Brodsky to make sure that every single grade gets a rundown of what bullying is, what's expected and what's not expected. And I expect every elementary, middle school, and high school to reach that high expectation.
Yeah, great question. And we do have a lot of mechanisms in place, including our Clay County Sheriff's Office, which I'll continue to work on the budget to find the resources to get that contract alive, because I know it costs money to have quality resources in place. So an alternative method would be something that has been tried and proven, to have something like dads on duty. There's parents who would get involved, who want to get involved and could help create an atmosphere of trust and strengthen those relationships, like Ms. Gohausen was talking about, because hurting people hurt people. And there has to be the 360-degree wraparound services. So you address it for the student who's doing the bullying, and then obviously the recipient of the bullying. There have to be support mechanisms in place. And I think you strengthen those relationships, because a teacher has to say something supposedly, but a dad who's there as a volunteer, they can actually reinforce those values. And the students tend to look up to that secondary person who's there to help support them.
So just to kind of reiterate what Ms. Gilhausen said, a lot of this job is state statute, a lot of it. And so cyberbullying is one of those things. Bullying period is one of those things. Some of the things that was in the board's control that we were able to essentially help with was cell phones. There were kids videoing other kids, posting on YouTube channels. That has died, or significantly died off, I should say. Then we did our code of conduct, like Ms. Hanson was saying, kind of letting the parents know the whole layout, the picture descriptions. Ms. Hanson has been working very hard with Mr. Rossi on that. This board has supported that, and her ideas on that. And like I said, it's also about relationships as well. Everything is about relationships. And when you have principals who can pick out leaders to help these kids, that matters. Knowing our students matters.
Well, I'm going to reflect on my experience as a parent, a teacher, and a school administrator, and we have a lot of things in place at our schools. We have strong expectations. We have reporting protocols. And even at some schools, we have something called WITS. What do you do when you feel like someone is bothering you or harassing you? W, maybe you could walk away. Maybe you could ignore them. Maybe you could tell them to stop. And finally, S, seek help. Students are encouraged and taught, and we have assemblies, and we teach them, how do you deal with this? What's the strategy? Because this is a life skill. When you're entering with an argument with someone or a disagreement, how do we show respect? We have strong monthly traits that we teach in our schools, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're going to support our teachers and our school staff to keep our students safe and know how to advocate for themselves. All right. Moving on to the next question.
Just a reminder for the candidates, when you do hear that bell, please complete your thought, even if you're mid-sentence. Move on over to the next candidate, to be fair. All right, next topic is academic. I'm gonna go over the board. Is Mr. Michael. Go ahead and read you the question. What specific steps would you take to improve student academic performance? Go ahead and move it to the right window.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we have a very high academic achieving county. We have a great school system. In my profession, I work all over Northeast and Central Florida, and so I have a basis of comparison. So academically, we're very strong. There are some areas of improvement, and early literacy is one of them. And if students aren't able to read, and I know that the threshold is to get a level 3, which depends on the report you read, we're at around 65% literacy for that grade level. That is mission critical, because up until that point, they're learning how to read. And then from that point on, they're reading to learn. And so I would continue to push for extra resources because even on the foundation where we've stood up the New World Reading Initiative and provided early literacy support, that funding may be going away too. So I think on the front end, it's mission critical. And again, going back to the budget, we can find money to enhance that because that's their starting point. And then academically, I think for the launching development as they wrap up their school career, they need to be prepared for that next phase.
So some of the things that we actually have already done as a board is one, remove cell phones from the classroom. This was happening as low as elementary school age. We pushed that and we pushed that hard. We saw studies across the state of Florida that have proved test scores and attention spans would go up and they would be doing a whole lot better. We've also changed policy, we've changed curriculum, but one of the things that I'm most proud of that this board has done is we have taken the cell phones, the electronics, all of those things out of the classroom unless they are necessary so that teachers can get in front of the classroom. We got rid of programs that we thought were not beneficial, that proved to not be beneficial. When you talk about reading level for third graders, if you read on a third grade reading level, 50%, we are now around 40%. So our report card is showing these things are working. The things that we have done, we are reaping those benefits.
Academic excellence, that is what we stand for, student success in every classroom. So for the last 2 days, I've attended the One Play Leadership Academy, and we are looking at test scores, and we're saying we need to do more. How can we do more? 400 teachers for the last 2 days have been working with our district administration, our curriculum coaches, If we are looking at the standards, we are sharing resources. Our teachers need support. When we talk about early literacy, we need interventions in all schools. The money that we spend needs to go down to the schools because number one, students come first, student success. We are building our future leaders and we need to make sure that we're way above 65%. It's not good enough. It's not what our community expects. So we can do more and support our teachers in the classrooms for students.
From my perspective, student success is largely determined by the adults in their lives. So what makes great schools is strong families. What makes strong schools is great teachers. And so investing in our community, the strength of the families and the quality of the teachers in the classroom are the two biggest drivers for student performance. And I think that the more that we focus on those relationships, like we talked about, growing smaller as we grow our community. If you look at Clay County in juxtaposition to all the other counties in the state, our income is actually much lower and we punch much higher in our weight class than we should. And I think that that speaks volumes of the family atmosphere that we have here in this county. So I think parental involvement, ensuring that our educators have the resources that they need to do their today. I think those are the most important things that we can do as a board to support high students.
As I've said before, that I believe that student motivation is very, very, very important. That can only start. And all that extends all the way through school. As far as the cell phone, I'm a very strong proponent of the cell phones outside of the classroom. I have had situations where the teacher was writing their enhanced classroom system. It was going bad. Well, what it was, students were downloading the apps for their remotes. While the teacher's trying to teach, they're turning their systems on and off, turning the volume up and down, all kind of. So those need to be gone. And that will keep the interest and hopefully keep the interest in the subject that they're doing. But not a whole bunch more I can say that hasn't been said, except for the motivation, and that starts with the parents.
And elementary, junior high, and secondary school. And I can tell you, I earned 12 certifications over time, reading, ESOL, ESE, it did not matter. My students always, 90% of my ESE kids always pass the test, and people would say, well, how do you do that? You know how we do that? We do that by investing in teachers, creating time for teachers, and most importantly, set high expectations. When you set high expectations, I know for a fact that kids rise. It does not matter who you have in your class. It does not matter. I would tell you mostly all your teacher skills don't have to be perfected, but what you have to have is a crystal clear heart, a high expectation, and a way to bring every student to where they need so they can be successful in today's, not yesterday's world, tomorrow's world. This one. Laura, we'll be starting this question. The budget. How would you prioritize spending when budgets are tight? Talk this down.
Thank you. That is one of the biggest challenges we're facing. We get our state money and that is a set budget. But as a school board, as a school district, we can set priorities. Like I said earlier, every dollar spent outside of the classroom or schools is one less dollar we have for our educating of our students. Set the priority. Students, school, academic success comes first. So we would take a look at our budget in the district office. We are employing a lot of upper management type personnel. And so I really want the chance to whittle that down and ask, is that essential? Is that critical? Is that tied to student success? Because that is the number one priority with any money we spend. is it for the students and their success and futures?
So I would echo that. The most important thing to prioritize is the student experience. The school district exists for students. And so when we have to make budget cuts in this last year, the district office is where we started. The highest percentage of cuts were borne by the district office this last year. We had to find 60 because that's how short the state was in our calculation of what we received from them this last budget year. And I can tell you that's unprecedented, never happened before. It was a very unique budget year. And I will tell you also, when I was first elected in 2014, our fund balance had fallen below the state's required minimum. And because of that, we were looking at the state coming in and taking over potentially. And in the years that I've been on the board, we've raised that fund balance almost quadruple what it was when I originally took office. And so we are in the 5% range, where before we were in the 1.9. State requires 3. So we've got a healthy budget, but we still have work to do.
I'm gonna speak about budget from what I see on the support side, the operations side. And I know there has to be funds for everything. Clay County is growing by leaps and bounds. And I'm not sure that people sit and think how many millions of dollars they're going to build a new school to learn. How many millions of dollars does it take just to build one existing school? We have old schools. We're trying to revamp those, revitalize them. We have more teachers. We have to have parking. If you drive by Middleburg High, you'll see the bus routes all torn up. That is going for teacher parking, so that people have a place to park. Our schools are exploding, and a lot of the money is going to, the budget is going to new schools, new buildings, and revitalizing schools.
I want to tell you, when I was a teacher and I was looking at the budget, it is not what anybody thinks it is. Most of our money, the $600 million we get, has to be spent a certain way. You can't just take money from one category and give it to another category. You can't just take money from here and give it to teachers here. It is a fine balance between what you can do and what you can't do. I'm not sure if you know this, but we generally have around 10. And we also have an internal audit committee that reports to the board. So what we have to do is make sure that we can squeeze out every single thing we want on the budget that we have, and we have to do it according to the law. I can tell you my priority when I visited 30 schools last year was the 1% mill, to make sure that the language was right, so that teachers and our staff can be compensated, along with keeping all of our law enforcement officers in their classroom.
So a couple of things is one is be proactive, right? Because we can advocate on behalf of our district to our legislators. We don't have to always just take what's given to us. We can go back and push back. And I've done that as a business partner when there was funding cuts to some of the programs that support our students as far as career readiness. And then if you think about it, there's been a few things that have happened over the a thriving budget, but there is question as to why keep over the 3% threshold and keep those millions of dollars when they could be paid out probably in compensation. And then there's things like the White Fleet report that's come out. And then also changing all the software and systems. Teachers are getting confused. There's training costs that are associated with that. And it's just ongoing spending. So we've done a great job. Because again, I think we have a great school system, but there's the proactive side to advocate for our budget. And there are things that we can do to get things adjusted to better support our teachers. Because to your question, we have to keep the teachers in the classroom and they have to be supported.
We have a $668 million budget. Sounds like a lot, sounds like big numbers. Every single dollar is state statute guided. I, like Ms. Hanson said, you cannot take money from capital funds and move it over here. And like people don't realize, it costs over $150 million to build a new high school. $150 million. There are so many things that we had to look at when we cut. It was actually closer to the last 2 years, I would say. This year, last almost 80 million that we had to actually cut. And some of those things were programs, and some of them were looking at these programs. So I hate to say this, but some of the technology that's changing is actually to save us $1 because it was more effective and it was more efficient. And it was what the teachers asked for. One of my very first conversations that I had with Mr. Broski was the technology. Why do we have 17 different programs? Our fleet. That's something that happened before us. That's something that this board has wanted to address. So we are addressing these issues.
But yes.
I may not have been a teacher in a classroom, but I was a nurse in a video.
Next question that involves parent and community engagement. All right. Ms. Erin, you will be the first one to answer this question. How would you increase parental involvement with curriculum and policy decisions?
Oh, there's so many things I've already done to do this. One of those things where bring our parents back to the classroom. Since the 90s, I feel like we haven't had cupcakes and baking and all the things. 2020 happened and parents were essentially shut out of our schools. I said that's not happening anymore. Every policy, when we got on the board, there was like less than 100. We now have 506. So we did policy reform in 3.5 years. Every policy was parental guided. We now have the highest volunteers that we've had in quite some time. I advocated for PFAs and PTO or PFA, whatever the other acronym is for it. I also, oh my gosh, the words with boosters, thank you, boosters to come back, background check. That was one of the things that I had to get hard and actually had to fight district staff over, level 2 background checks for parents.
The parental involvement is the core of our school system. Without our parents, without that partnership, our schools are suffering. And thankfully, since 2020, we have designed many ways to bring our parents back in. Like I said, the last 2 days, the One Clean Leadership Academy, that's one of the focuses we have. One play, one team, one goal. How do we bring involve them? How do we make our schools more welcoming? Because we put all the glass up, we put buzzers on doors, we've locked everything down. So perception is big for our parents. And we're going out of our way, planning as a district right now to invite the parents back and let them know you are important. You are welcome here and we need your support. And a way with curriculum is that we are very transparent with our curriculum. We have the parents come in for meetings, we educate them, we share, and we make sure that they know what we are teaching every day to their precious children.
So parent involvement is something I'm really passionate about. It started my professional life at Seymour Branch. Is how do we connect children to their parents in a way that is healthy and beneficial. And so from my perspective in the schools, there are a lot of schools who are doing that really well. When I go to a football game on a Friday night, people working in the concession stand are parents of people I went to school with that are still volunteering. So it's about community. And that's something that we do really well here in Clay County. If you look around this room, there are generational relationships that have existed here for so many years. And that's something that I think is really important when it comes to community and parent engagement in our schools. One thing that I think we've done creatively, especially at our Title I schools, is to offer dinner and hours with tutoring. So single moms and families who are struggling have a place to come and get help together.
Okay. This question is tough to me because I'm not from the instruction side of the administrative side. Like I said, I'm on the side. And I don't know exactly how the schools are doing it. I don't know what programs they have in place.
We're talking as if it's one size fits all. It's absolutely not. Parents are super engaged in elementary school. as a junior high teacher, 2 out of 125. And in high school, you're lucky if you need a parent, if you can actually get a hold of a parent. This isn't about what we're doing right now. This is about doing something different, something better. I can tell you, when we engage parents in forums, and this board has, you need to talk to parents about very hard, have very difficult discussions. You have to have office hours, you have to reach out, and you have to mean it. Your heart has to be in it. It is not a one size fits all. Yes, we do some things, but there is a whole lot more we need to be doing. And one of the ways we need to start with that is by engaging with every parent before school starts, in the first week of school, where teachers plan at each school, especially in the secondary school, where kids need their parents more than anything and decide they don't.
Absolutely. Parents should be seen as partners, not outsiders. And we have built a great community in our school district. And that's one of the things that I think is at risk of being lost with the teacher retention piece, because for years we've had this quality environment where you see legacy teachers coming in and staying in because their parents taught here. And that community's been built around that school. Well, as we've seen teachers leave because of some of the decisions and the budget constraints, it all comes back to the budget. I'm scared straight for the parents who say, because when I was in Tallahassee talking to legislators on behalf of our education foundation and our community, the Department of Justice builds their budget based on one of the factors of how well our students read at third grade. And the Department of Justice spends roughly $30,000+ per year for inmates, whereas as the DOE, we spend around $7,000, $8,000. So I would advocate that we take some of that money from the Department of Justice and we proactively help increase what's going on for early literacy. And then you can build programs that do everything that was said, because you have to have that conducive environment and bring parents to the table.
Next question. Yes, left. Next one will address comparison. Teachers, yes. Mr. Gerald, you'll be the first one to answer this question. What do you believe is the biggest challenges facing teachers today, and how would you solve it?
Okay, here we go. As I go through these schools, I see the class, and they're up. I hear the teachers, and they're struggling to try to maintain these classes in order and everything with so many students now. Honestly, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not from that side of it. And later when we close out, I'll explain what I'm getting at and why I'm running. But you're going to need to talk to these people on the board and the teachers and administrators, get a good answer on that. Sorry.
So this really isn't even a complicated question. As a teacher of nearly 20 years, my friends are teachers, my daughter's a teacher, almost everybody I know is a teacher. We need to 100% support our teachers. What that means is stop asking them to do things. Stop making them stand out in the cafeteria. Maybe we took all the elementary kids into the cafeteria, have our principals watch them, let our teachers have all that time to themselves, and release them at 8:25. That's what we did at McRae Elementary School. We got an extra 35 minutes of planning every day. What else we need to do? We need to back our teachers up when it comes to parents. We need to back our teachers up when it comes to students. And the number one thing we need to do in the classroom, money's important, don't get me wrong. I would give everybody 10,000 if I could. But the number one thing is high expectations in the classroom. We cannot allow one student in the classroom disrupt the education for the rest. Our admin should be pulling that kid out. We should make it happen for the rest of our kids.
Absolutely. So a couple of things. In the current environment, it's all about the budget. And it's very difficult for a teacher to take in this information of why their parking lot's being repaid, but they didn't get a pay raise. And I understand that it's all state statute and that I've been reading through the Red Book, but we can advocate on behalf of our community to get some of those restrictions changed. And the empathetic leadership matters. I mean, I'll commit to you guys here right now. I won't take a pay raise. As a school board member, I'll select no when that email comes in every year of my term because it's just not right. As a business executive and seeing that, if you're not able to support your staff, as much as you put other resources in place, it starts to diminish their value and it creates frustration. And then they end up wanting to leave. And then that's going to fundamentally change the landscape of our school district. So listening to them, hearing them out, proactive advocacy, and then, of course, leading by example.
And when you talk to multiple teachers, and it depends on which teacher you talk to, by the way, because elementary is a lot different than junior high is a lot different than high school. But I will tell you this, I think discipline within the classroom, and like Ms. Hanson said, when there is discipline, and having administration come out and actually discipline the child and not give them a lollipop and sit them in a classroom with fidget spinner and tell them it's fine, now you can go back. There's multiple things that have went on. There's things we can do through policy, but a lot of that has to do with day to day, which does not fall underneath the board. However, I will say money is also an issue. We all know that our new teachers have gotten a significant pay raise. Our veteran teachers have not, and I will be unapologetic about paying our veteran teachers and helping them out.
Like I said, I've spent the last 2 days with over 400 teachers and we've come together. And the one thing I hear them talk about is the less than 1% pay raise that part of the students got received. 45% of our teachers received nothing. And now we're being told a 22% increase in insurance rates is coming for the 26-27 school year. And again, we had 172 teachers leave in the 25-26 school year. The year before, 142 left. So we are concerned about having, like Michael said, legacy teachers, the traditions that have made Clay County schools so strong. I was inspired by my second grade teacher to choose this path. She and all of the caring and dedicated teachers along my way would have never stood for what we are asking teachers to do for so little. Again, our teachers deserve to be supported and paid a living wage.
So I think teachers want what everybody wants. They want us to respect their time, to respect their talent, to contribute. That's truly where I feel like we strive to protect their time as much as we can. Like we talked about discipline practices, for days off, remote days for planning when it comes to their talent, honoring those who are high achievers. The teacher of the year is one of the best as we have. Like, we do a good job, I think, of celebrating their talent and developing their talent. I think we've made some strides in what we offer for professional development. And then beyond that, their treasure. And that's something that we have worked really hard to support on the last few years, but there's really room for improvement, and I'm committed to that. This involves bonus academic is the topic. We have one name left. Let me pull it out. Ms. Michelle, you will start with this round. The question is, do you think students should be using AI in a classroom? Why or why not?
It's interesting you asked that. I just spent 2 weeks learning about AI. The answer is no. Currently, our school system, the way it is, we produce kids who can and kids who can't. We have those that can critically think and read, and we have those that can't. We do not need AI in our classrooms. What we need is a plan to make sure that every kid who can't read, who can't critically think, learn that while in school. AI will be available for them in every part of their lives. What we don't need it in the classroom. But I will tell you what a profound effect it could have on students. Like if a teacher uses it, we're used to taking a really cool unit. AI can actually do that for teachers, pulling things in from all over the world to make it the best lesson. So on the student side, my answer is absolutely no. On the teacher side, if we are well trained, my answer is yes.
There used to be a healthy blend. We have to have pen and paper, pencil and paper, because there's science that proves the psychology of writing, reading, hearing it with your own inner voice, and then and putting pen to paper. But I do think we need to thoughtfully incorporate AI, not as a crutch for them to just use it to write their essays, but to have them learn how to navigate the technology. I mean, if the vision for the district is to prepare lifelong learners for success in a global, in a competitive workforce, if we don't teach them something of how to use this tool to be more efficient, to be more effective, thoughtfully, again, not letting them use it as a crutch, but we can move that grading system to go, what are your inputs, and start to gauge this is just the output. And then we can change the model up a little bit to where they can, again, use it as a resource, not as a crutch. But that'll never replace the ability to read. I've said that quite a bit. And then, of course, the pencil and paper has to be integrated. But I think we need to use it thoughtfully.
The answer is no. I think I'm one of the biggest advocates on this board of anti-cell phone, anti-computer, anti all the things, because I know in the medical profession what that does to children. Not only that, but what we have seen, the mental health that has happened over the last several years. One of the programs that we implemented within our district, and we have a whole unit on that, our programs to educate us on what is happening to our children when it comes to technology. And there's a time and a place for it, but I'm going to tell you, being able to think for yourself, to evaluate things for yourself, to be able to simply write in cursive, to articulate, to speak, all of those things, and creatively think and speak matters. And if we give AI to our children, no matter how much we can try to control it, it'll still be abused.
Yes. So the first piece of technology we introduced to our students was the pencil. I always tell my students, when you are using that pencil, I know you're thinking. And I was a technology teacher for 5 years. I remember introducing when we first had the internet brought into the schools, and there was so much safety behind it. There was so much fear of the World Wide Web. And look how far we've come. We're introducing so many different technology tools to our students. We are equipping them for the future. They come to us as digital natives. A lot of times our teachers were scared to touch a computer, and I would go and there was a technology advisor, and I would go and help teachers. And I had students that were very well, would help their teachers as well. So our county is a Google county. We have purchased Google Gemini. And we are going to thoughtfully, deliberately, intentionally, slowly introduce it. One of the things we learned today at our workshop was how we can use Gemini to organize our data so that teachers don't spend all this time putting it in a spreadsheet, figuring out, sorting it, numbering it.
So we talked earlier about protecting teachers' time. And it's one way that AI can be incredibly useful in the hands of the adult in the room. It's allowing them to redeem some of those hours that they spend putting slideshows together and creating engaging lessons. So I think that AI has a place and technology has a place in the classroom, but the driver is the educator.
I'm going to agree with some things that have been said. Just said, I believe to assist the teachers, that's fine. As far as the students and learning, old school, I believe in reading, writing, arithmetic. If they don't learn it now, when are they ever going to learn it? If they have AI, they're not going to learn it. And I'm not sure where that's going to lead them in the future, but my answer is no.
Okay, now. So this is the final that everybody's gonna get. I apologize. It is 8:04, so it is gonna be 2 minutes. Okay. So what we want to do is let the incumbents and then pass it to the opponent. And we'll just pass it down.
District one or?
We're gonna do 2 minutes.
2 minutes, but who starts first?
Let's start down here.
Okay.
Since that's district. You go. You go first, then you, and then pass it to Michelle.
Like I said, everything that I promised to each of you as a voter, I delivered on every single promise. We have a record that has been proven. We have a report card that has been proven. You heard it tonight that everything that we have done goes down into a district, into training that has been very successful. So, thank you for that. Also, we are a top 10 rated school district. We are an A school district. This year alone, we want to talk about academic success. This year alone is the highest testing results in the history of Clay County. Oh my gosh, academic success. Sorry, that's too distracting. I will continue to work. I will continue to do the things that I do. I put in several hours doing this job. I talk to our legislators quite frequently. I have a great relationship. Of Education. I was previously endorsed by Governor Ron DeSantis, and what comes with that is a close relationship with his team and those involved in Tallahassee to continue his education agenda, to push that, which we have done. And again, our report card reflects it. We have policies that provide and put parents first. And then our students, but it's also the responsibility of the parent to be a parent. And that's something that we emphasize quite often in disciplinary hearings, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to put the student perspective bring student perspective in this go around as well, which we've already started. Everything's about relationships, and I will continue to say that everything is about relationships. I've traveled to Tallahassee to advocate for veteran teacher pay. I have done all of the things that I can do despite what others may think for our teachers. So much. I have been endorsed by our whole delegation here in Clay County. They supported me in my reelection. So thank you.
From my experience here in Clay County, I started as a student. I became a parent. I became an instructional leader. I went on to become an assistant principal, and now I'm back in the classroom very happily, facilitator, working every day directly with students. And when they mentioned, yes, some of the highest test scores, thank God for our teachers. That is why we are a high achieving district. And I want to bring that focus back. Students, teachers, families, strong community. We need to make sure that we are focused on our mission, our vision of successful students, academic excellence. This is our future, our students. And we need to make sure we're putting students first and supporting teachers and school staff.
That was District 1, flat.
You don't know me, I'm just going to tell you, I mean business. When it comes to education, there's no joke. I gathered 96 hours to bring myself to a certified school board, one of 67 school board members in the state of Florida. I earned my ESE master's, my certificate of leadership and leadership. I spent 20 years in the classroom working only with ESE and inclusion kids. I'm a military wife, spent 44 years married, 24 of those he was gone from our home. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most important thing is that I am a subject area expert when it comes to public education. So what I need is for you to vote for me and give me 4 more years to make sure that the time investment I've had in education comes true in the classroom. Work alongside the board, creating policies that work for students, working with our budget, finding a way to pay our master teachers, which will be the 1% bill. And I also want to say this. Education isn't partisan. You've been hearing all the screaming on the internet. It's not partisan. I never once looked at a kid and said, I wonder if that's a Democrat. We have people way over here. We have people way over here. You want to know the truth? Everybody here loves their kids. And it is our job to make sure that we do the absolute best we can for our kids. I would hope that I could earn another 4 years from you, and I would be honored if you would vote for me on August 18th.
So this will be our first forum. I took a very collaborative approach because we do have a great school system, and I am very thankful. It's hard for me to be more combative, but my collaborative nature was taken somewhat as weakness. But I promise to be a team player. I've proven that throughout my business world and bringing business partners to the table. I'm not sure we can make it another 4 years if we don't fix the budget. And one of the things that we were implementing with the Education Foundation was to have our MOU established, but it got thwarted because of some of the shenanigans from another board member that's not here. That just took all of the distraction away. But once we get that MOU signed, we're going to start an endowment fund. Why don't we have an endowment fund? And then I'll be the one to go and petition for other universities to pay for their endowments to help pay for our teachers. There's a way that they can do that. These large universities have lots of money in reserves that we can start to build these public, private, and strategic educational partnerships. And there's absolutely no reason why we couldn't start working on that now. Because despite all of the things that we have a thriving school system, just not sure that it can be sustainable unless we have some responsible leadership. There's a time and place for everything. We're no longer in the battle of the books. We're in the battle of the budget. We're in the battle of the budget. And if we don't take the time to prepare for our future, we're going to have to take the time to repair from our past. And by then it might be too late. Clay County is on the grow. We're exponential. The growth is here. The financial landscape has already changed. House Bill 1 has changed, fundamentally changed the way we have to go about business. I will advocate alongside Ms. Skipper and any others with our legislators because we need a level playing field. If schools have to be built as bomb shelters, then why aren't we going to FEMA for extra money so we can cut down the cost of building these buildings? Or give us a level playing field. Let us build a building similar to how a charter school can build a building. Let's advocate to make it better. We got all the components in place. You heard Ms. Skipper. She has all the relationships. Let's bring it to county the best it can be.
Okay, now.
So I'm gonna echo what Mr. Rafton just said. The biggest issue facing Clay County schools is our budget. And I would venture to say that one of the best things I can bring to the table is experience in troubled waters with that before. When I first came on the school board, like I told you, the fund balance was 1.9%. And I'll tell you why 5% is important. Because at 5%, we can afford to pay our payroll one time if something were to happen traumatic to our budget. As a district, we have zero control over how many families apply for and receive the voucher program. So that's a number that is moving every single year, doubling most years. And so in order to catch up for that, the money that is that fund balance. So if it draws down to a point that we can't sustain, what do we do about payroll? So the fund balance is critically important that we maintain it to the best of our ability. At the same time, taking care of our employees, that's the backbone of everything we do. Like I said before, student success depends on us having quality educators. You can give the best resources that you could possibly purchase, but if we don't have a quality educator in that classroom, nothing is going to happen for that child. So from my perspective, it is the most important thing driving this election should be everybody's concern about the budget. And who do you think would be most qualified to make those really difficult decisions moving forward?
I once heard someone compare a school district to a three-legged stool. Leg represented administrative, one instructional, and one was operations. They without the legs being equal, it's not balanced system. No good to anybody. I personally feel that same thing is true with our board. Our board should have at least one experienced, knowledgeable person from the administrative side. They should have at least one experienced, knowledgeable person from the instructional side, and they should have one experienced, knowledgeable person from the support side. Support is a major factor when it comes to budget. Okay, I do understand the children are first, and everything needs to be done to make sure they get the best education they can. But behind the scenes, You have the support side. If you don't have those three legs on this board, I don't feel that the board is properly balanced. The other two positions can be anybody you want to be. It doesn't matter, but you need administrative experience, instructional experience, and you need operations experience in this board. The school district, I'm still employed there for over 14 years. I have never seen anybody from the support portion of this school district on the board. And, you know, there's a lot of issues. Everybody comments about our white fleet. Our white fleet is growing. It has to grow because the employee count grows. When you get an employee that has to travel through the school district, they have to have a vehicle. There are problems with the white fleet, but the number of them is not necessarily the first thing that needs to be addressed. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate you being here. Please vote for.
Now. Amazing. I thank you guys so much for coming for the